Time to talk about the man, the myth, the legend. Well, I guess he's not really a myth. I saw the movie yesterday, so. I also got this cool fan cup at Cinemark. Yeah, I get it. It's not one of the cool popcorn buckets. My channel's not big enough to support that yet, okay? I'm not Chris Stuckman. I'm not Jeremy Johns. Yet. So here's my spoiler review of Superman, and really, I'm just gonna talk about different things that I wanna talk about, because it's my channel. I've been wondering for the longest time how Superman got beat up, why he's all bloody in that trailer clip where Krypto comes and drags him away, after jumping on him and breaking a few more ribs, probably. But they handle it so well. It's at the very beginning of the movie, and some font comes up and it says, 3 centuries ago, I'm paraphrasing here, but 3 centuries ago, people with superpowers were discovered. 3 decades ago, an alien crash landed on Earth. Superman. 3 weeks ago, Superman stopped a war, which you'll see in the movie. And then it was either 3 hours ago or 3 minutes ago, Superman lost his first fight. Love how they use the threes. Kind of a cool way to explain it, but it leaves you wondering how he lost that fight. And I'm gonna tell you, because this is a spoiler review. Now, James Gunn made a comment that he weakened this Superman by a bit to give us more stakes, to make it more interesting to watch. And I get it, because in Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, I liked how strong he was, but he never looks in pain. Even when Doomsday's punching him, there's no blood, and kind of took away from it. But I also was like, well, Superman's not weak. And I've heard people complain about this, like, oh, it looks like in the film he just gets beat up over and over. Well, you guys are wrong, because the only person to actually beat him up when he's at full strength was himself. Yes, the big reveal is that Ultraman in this film is a clone of Superman. And a stronger clone at that. And due to Lex Luthor being a major nerd, he controls the clone and has him do all these combos, must be a good video gamer, to take out Superman. So I like this. The only person that broke him on the inside and made him bleed was himself. Yeah, there's other moments in the movies he gets hurt, but that's due to Kryptonite, and that makes sense. I liked almost everything about this film. It was like the Superman animated series from the 90s, and they used so many characters in this film, and that was a big concern for me, and many others after seeing the trailer. We didn't want a repeat of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, there's other ones besides Spider-Man, but that's what I can think of, where they have too many characters and not enough screen time. Well, they went way past that, brought in way more characters, and it worked well. And I think one reason it worked well is it all ties back to Lex Luthor. He's the main villain. He's pulling the strings behind a lot of the bad guys in this film. They show Metamorpho in the trailer. I thought he'd be bad, which for a minute he's kind of working with Lex Luthor because he's forced to. But then he teams up with Superman and eventually becomes part of the team with Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Mr. Terrific at the Hall of Justice. And then Clark Kent. In so many iterations of the comics or cartoons, he acts extra dorky and nerdy to fool people. But in this one, he is just kind of a dorky but cool, fun guy. And that's his true self. And taking a nod from the comics, the reason people don't recognize him is he uses hypno glasses. So when people look at him, they see someone different. I don't know what they're seeing, but it's not Superman. My one question is, what if he takes them off? Maybe it's not about looking at the glasses, but it's sending out a signal. And what if he leaves them at home one day? I guess that's where he needs to be extra super, with a super memory, not to forget. Then there's Lois and Clark. They did not make sense to me in Zack Snyder's version. They like each other, but I don't know why. But in this film, we see them arguing. We see how Lois is unsure about her feelings for Superman, aka Clark Kent. You know, she's independent. She likes things a certain way. She says she's not good at relationships. Not that I'm a huge guy for romance, but I love their relationship. We see them grow, and they even use the L word by the end. If you thought you were going to miss out on Metropolis getting absolutely wrecked in this film, don't worry. Just as is typical in a Superman film, Metropolis gets absolutely wrecked. Split in half even. But the difference this time, it isn't Superman doing the wrecking. Now that fight scene at the end of Man of Steel, one of the best pieces of cinema as far as action goes I've seen. It gave me hope that Dragon Ball Z could happen in live action. And I tried to defend Henry Cavill's Superman for years, like, well, he didn't have time to get Zod out of the city. He just wanted to beat him quick so he didn't kill a lot of people, blah, blah, blah. But thinking back, it could have been nice to see him trying to get him in a full Nelson or grabbing him, booming out of the city at Mach 9 or 10 or whatever he flies. But instead, he just throws Zod through buildings and, you know, just, even though half the city was already destroyed, might as well clean up the rest. But David Cornsweet loves his city, and it's Lex Luthor's fault that it's getting destroyed. But there's one scene I was wondering about. So remember the kaiju in the trailer? Where Superman does a big uppercut to this guy, and the kaiju starts to fall, and I go, okay, he's gonna crash into a building. They probably won't mention that people died, but there's no way they won't. I guess they're taking a nod from the Man of Steel. But no, Superman uppercuts him, flies around, and catches him from behind before he knocks into the building at all. And we see him do things like this multiple times. Now that is Superman. We also have Krypto in this movie, and the love that Superman has for this dog is awesome. I mean, we see him annoyed a lot of the time because Krypto is just out of control, wasn't trained well, which makes sense at the end because we find out it's actually his partying cousin's dog. Yes, Supergirl's dog. But we get a John Wick moment in here where he's just screaming at Lex, "Where's my dog? Where's my puppy?" Guys, it's fine. Dog is man's best friend, and Superdog is Superman's best friend. I've said it before, but I love that Superman has emotion in this movie. I saw people hashtagging not my Superman because Superman gets upset when Lois is interviewing Superman about stopping a war in another country. But I was okay with it because it shows Superman's good intentions and how he cares. Maybe it wasn't the most thought out. I mean, in the end, he was right. That one country, what was it? I can't remember, but they were in the wrong and working with Lex. He didn't know that at the time, though, so it just shows his innocence of, I just didn't want people to die. There's literally people with pitchforks, baseball bats, shovels, going to fight a military that's just going to wipe them out. If I was Superman and I saw that, it's not two countries with tanks fighting each other. It's literally a slaughter. That's Superman. But anyways, Lois Lane is interviewing him and he gets upset yelling, "People were gonna die! What was I supposed to do?" And there's people online literally saying, "Not my Superman, he wouldn't yell. Henry Cavill only yelled when he killed Zod." It shows his humanity. It shows he's not perfect. It's okay for him to have emotion. It makes him relatable. I mean, relatable as far as we aren't superpowered, we don't have huge muscles, we can't shoot lasers out of our eyes, or icy blast breath. But relatable as far as he was raised by earthly parents, he has human emotions, and he cares. He's not putting himself above everybody else. And then we get the old classic Hall of Justice. Apparently it's owned by Maxwell Lord, and he's funding the super team of Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, and Green Lantern. So there's a cool call out. But I just love seeing this. It looks straight out of the old Super Friends cartoon. And I love the characters. Nathan Fillion does great as Guy Gardner. Kind of stupid, but that's Guy Gardner. And Hawkgirl has one of my favorite lines in the movie. The president of the bad country Lex is working with basically calls her out as she's carrying him, as she's flying away with him high above. And he says, "I know you're not going to kill me. Superman wouldn't. It's your moral code," or something like that. And she just looks at him, smiles, and says, "I'm not Superman." And lets go of him, and he hits the ground. That's the brutality I like from Hawkgirl. And they're showing they're not afraid to kill. Some of the superheroes, they kill, but only bad guys. And then Mr. Terrific is just a cool dude. When him and Lois are trying to find out where Superman went due to Lex's devious plan, he shows up, and in James Gunn fashion, there's a song playing, and he uses his little T-spheres, not T-circles. Lois made that mistake. But they're just flying around, and he just takes out this whole convoy, or herd, or group of military men, however you say it. And I was just wanting to cheer the whole time. And I think we saw this in the trailers. But Guy Gardner appears and helps the country that's using pitchforks and axes and probably even utensils to fight the tanks and soldiers with guns. And he literally just has fists flipping people off, coming out of the ground, taking out the tanks and the soldiers. I want more of Guy Gardner. Here's the only things I was mixed on. And not mixed as in I thought it was bad, but throughout the movie I was like, how do I feel about this? I don't know. 1, they turned Jor-El and Jor-El's wife, I don't remember her name, sorry, into beings that see themselves as far above humanity. Lex Luthor breaks into the Fortress of Solitude and wants to find dirt on Superman, and he sees a hologram of his Krypton parents talking. But there's one part that glitched out when Superman landed as a baby, so he's never known what they said. Well, Lex Luthor, with all his tech and people working for him, finds out that it basically says, "Superman, dominate this planet, you'll help them, but you'll be above them. Basically, you'll be a god, and they better treat you like a god. Do it through force." I'm paraphrasing, but I was shocked. And I thought, oh, Lex Luthor's lying. Nope, he wasn't. And I guess this is a version in some of the comics. Heck, in some of the comics, a Jack Jor-El comes and attacks Earth and wants to conquer it with Superman. Sounds like Robert Kirkman, who wrote Invincible, wasn't the first one who thought of this. Sorry, Omni-Man. But I didn't love it at first. I'm like, no, man. I liked in Man of Steel how Jor-El is, this wise figure helping him. But by the end, I was okay with it because at the beginning of the film, he tells his robot people as they're doctoring him up, helping him heal with the sun, play holograms of my Krypton parents talking. It always soothes me. But by the end, when he finds himself, he instead has Martha and Jonathan Kent all over the Fortress of Solitude. Videos of him as a baby, videos of him as a kid with his parents hugging him, and he just smiles as the movie ends. And I see what they did. They're showing that, hey, he's not Superman because of his Krypton parents and what they told him to do. He's Superman because of who raised him on Earth and because of his own choices. Heck, Jonathan gives one of the best speeches in the movie. He tells Superman something along the lines of, you aren't you because of who your parents are or who they want you to be. You're you because of your actions and character and who you decide to become. He said it a lot better than that, but that's what brings Superman back, gets him over this whole, holy crap, my parents from Krypton wanted me to force humanity to follow me and be good by whatever means necessary. So yeah, I was on the fence about it, but I'm definitely leaning towards it was a good decision. Then the other one, bringing in Ultraman on this film. It wasn't bad, But having a clone of Superman right off the bat that's powerful, I feel like could have waited. Then again, we have characters like Doomsday coming, Darkseid, and that's alright. But I feel like they could have used Ultraman a little better. Though what I did love about it was how Lex used Ultraman and how he was behind it all and how everything in the movie that you didn't quite understand makes sense by the end. So once again, I don't think it made the movie bad at all. I'm not even saying it was a bad decision. I just don't know. There's so many different versions of Ultraman. They could have gone different ways. Anyways, I'm hungry. I want to go eat. Now get off the internet and go watch this movie yourself. It needs your support. I'm especially talking to you, diehard Snyder fans. Give way to something new. The past was rough, I get it, but forgive and continue on.